Two things can be true. Shannon Sharpe sounds off on Shedeur Sanders Arch Manning double standard. The fallout from Arch Manning's poor Texas Longhorns debut continues. This time, it's NFL legend Shannon Sharpe weighing in, who joined in with fans calling out the difference in coverage of Manning's debut compared to how Shedeur Sanders was treated back in college. Manning and Sanders have had the spotlight cast on them from young ages as a result of their last names. NFL rookie Sanders, who is wrapping up an intense preseason with the Cleveland Browns, is the son of Deion Sanders, a two-time Super Bowl-winning NFL cornerback and current head coach of the Colorado Buffaloes football team. While Manning, who's made millions in nil money, is the grandson of Archie Manning and nephew of Peyton and Eli, all three being legendary quarterbacks. With his family tree in mind, it's no surprise that Manning's Texas debut against Ohio State on Saturday was a highly anticipated affair. Unfortunately, though, it was a performance to forget from the young signal caller. The 21-year-old did show flashes of promise during the game but was ultimately inconsistent and made several mistakes. By the end of the game, he completed 17 of 30 passes for 170 yards and had one touchdown and one interception. After the game, NFL experts weighed in on Manning's debut, with ESPN's Dan Orlovsky seemingly making an excuse for the young quarterback by claiming Ohio State were just too good. Arch Manning and Sark got Bill Belichick ed, Orlovsky explained. Arch will not see another defense that is as sophisticated, as complicated, and, as much as they change pre-snap to post-snap. I'm not telling America that Arch didn't have some misses. Of course he had some misses. Mechanically, he got worse as the game went on. But that game, in specific to Arch, went the way it did because of Matt Patricia for Ohio State and that Ohio State secondary. Shannon Sharpe calls out double standards. Some have claimed that the tone used to analyze Manning, which has generally given him the benefit of the doubt, has been markedly different to how Sanders was criticized when he was in college. And that includes Sharpe and his podcast co-host, Chad Okosinko Johnson. Dan Orlovsky made some good excuses for Arch, Okosinko began. Sharpe replied, "He did," while laughing. Sharpe went on to explain how he was able to criticize and praise Sanders while he was in college, while others who slammed him now seem to be giving grace to Manning. Two things can be true. I can praise him and still critique him, Sharpe added. I can say there are some things that are concerning for me and give credit where it's due. That's just how the job works. Despite the media coverage of Manning, the quarterback himself was honest when talking to reporters about how he played. I hold myself to a high standard, Manning said on Monday. I've got to play better, got to lead more, got to get our guys to play well around me, and ultimately I wasn't good enough. All eyes will be on Texas and Manning again when they take on the San Jose State Spartans on September 6th. Stay up to date with the latest from the NFL across all platforms. Follow our dedicated TalkSport USA Facebook page and subscribe to our TalkSport USA YouTube channel for all the off-season news, interviews, and more. When Shannon Sharpe decides to let the world know what's on his mind, it rarely comes out in half measures. The Hall of Fame tight end, turned opinionated broadcaster, has built his reputation on delivering hot takes with a preacher's fire and a lawyer's conviction. But in the case of Shedeur Sanders and Arch Manning, Sharpe didn't come off as someone simply poking flames for ratings. He sounded more like a man exhausted with the double standards that have hovered over both quarterbacks since they entered the NFL spotlight. And as Sharpe himself loves to remind his audience, two things can be true at the same time. The debate that won't die. Shedeur Sanders entered the league with the last name, Sanders, attached like a spotlight he never asked to dim. As Deion Sanders' son, his every throw, every incompletion, every sideline glance has been dissected under a microscope. Praise for his leadership and arm talent has been accompanied by doubt. Was he really NFL ready, or just riding the coattails of prime time? Arch Manning, on the other hand, carried the weight of the Manning dynasty. Peyton and Eli's nephew, Cooper's son, the kid with the golden family crest embroidered into his football DNA. Unlike Shedeur, Arch received softer landings in conversations. Struggles were labeled as growing pains. Mistakes were developmental. He was afforded something Shedeur rarely saw, patience. And that's where Sharpe decided to step in. Shannon's sermon. On his podcast, Sharpe leaned forward, his voice firm yet calm, the way a man sounds when he's not arguing for entertainment but because he believes something has to be said. Listen, Sharpe began, two things can be true. Arch Manning is talented. He's got potential. But let's not act like Shedeur Sanders doesn't. The way folks in the media talk about these two, it's night and day. One's the future face of the NFL, the other's overhyped because of his daddy. And I'm tired of it. For Sharpe, this wasn't simply about football. It was about perception. It was about narratives that form before players even step on the field and how those narratives shape careers, endorsements, and fan support. Arch throws 2 picks, and it's learning curve. Shedeur does the same, and it's, see? We told you he wasn't ready. That's a double standard. And it's been there since day one. Why it hits deeper. Sharpe's words carried more than just sports commentary. They spoke to a cultural undercurrent, how young black quarterbacks often face harsher scrutiny compared to their counterparts. For decades, the stereotype of the athlete QB lingered, with doubts about whether certain players had the mental acuity to run an NFL offense. Shedeur, who has shown poise, pocket awareness, and leadership in college and in Cleveland, finds himself boxed into narratives his play often disproves. Arch, meanwhile, benefits from the Manning name being synonymous with football IQ, preparation, and generational excellence. Sharpe, who lived through his own version of being underestimated, knows the cost of perception. He wasn't supposed to be a Hall of Famer coming out of Savannah State. But he fought through the noise, the labels, and the doubt. Watching Shedeur navigate similar terrain triggered something familiar. The media storm. After Sharpe's comments, sports shows lit up. Clips of him repeating, "Two things can be true," circulated across social media platforms, spawning debates in living rooms, barbershops, and Twitter threads. Some agreed wholeheartedly. "Sharpe's right," one fan tweeted. "Arch Manning gets treated like the crown prince. Shedeur gets treated like the court jester until he proves otherwise." Others pushed back. "Arch didn't ask for his last name either," another replied. "He's just as under the microscope as Shedeur, maybe even more because of his family legacy." And therein lies the rub. Both quarterbacks are navigating shadows cast by their last names. But the way the spotlight burns them feels different, depending on who you ask. The reality on the field. On the field, Shedeur has shown flashes of brilliance, quick decision-making, precision throws, and resilience in the pocket.